Hello guys, welcome back to Tax Riders and another episode of the on-demand series. In this video we want to continue our discussion on building Linux programs under Windows, but instead of WSL we want to use another tool called MSYS to build native Windows binaries, namely exe files. So let's see how it's possible. Okay, in the previous video, I showed you how to use WSL to build, for example, a CGAL-based application that was the heart.cpp. And then we generated the Linux binary out of it, Linux executable. We run the executable, and we ended up with the heart.mesh file. But as you noticed, as I described also, elaborated a bit, this is a Linux binary. You can easily run it with WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. But let's say that we want to have the Windows executable out of it. And we want to have a native Windows version. For that use case, for this kind of application, we cannot rely on WSL because it doesn't support really running or generating Windows applications. For doing this, we need another tool, and there are lots of tools for this. You may have heard about MinGW, which is a Windows port, that is a port from Linux to Windows for GCC toolchains and libraries. And there are different distributions for that, but one of the best that is really good at generating Windows binaries out of Linux procedures. That's very important. We want to follow the Linux procedures. One of the best ones is MSYS. It's called MSYS. And in this video, I want to install it, and then I will compile this program again using CGAL, and we'll show you how to generate the exe file out of it. Generally, you can also use Microsoft compilers like Visual Studio, VC++, or Intel compilers to compile CGAL programs on Windows. But trust me, there are lots of scenarios in which you cannot rely on this Windows workflows, and sometimes the library doesn't support Windows natively. In this case, CGAL supports it, so you can follow the instructions on the CGAL website to build it natively on Windows. But as a use case, I want to take the opportunity and show you how you can use this workflow that I have already described in previous videos, so we don't need to spend time on a workflow. And we want to use it as a use case to show how powerful MSYS is and how you can take advantage of it in your workflows to build. For example, you have developed a program in Linux, but you want to port it to Windows, and this is a very, very powerful, let's say, tool to port programs and build native version like what you saw for the GMesh that I was able, that is GMesh XZ, although GMesh was initially developed to run on Windows. So this is actually the topic of this video. Sorry for the long description, but I wanted to emphasize the importance of the topic. So as I said, for MSYS, this is MSYS 2. This is what it is called, a very, very powerful let's say tool, but it says that it says software distribution and building platform. So it says it's a building platform for Windows, and it says it's a collection of tools. Let's download it, and the download procedure is quite simple and easy to follow. You can see we need to download a file, and then we'll run it. And then we specify the installation location, and this is very, very similar to Arch Linux. The Pacman package manager is available. We can use it to configure our system and install the required libraries that we want. So for this one, I run it. And then I will follow the instruction. This is where we want to install it, and this is the start menu shortcut. And let's see what it does. So it tries to extract the 7z file, compressed file, and then we configure a couple of stuff. But as I said at the beginning of the video, there is also a MinGW backend on this MSYS2. So MSYS2 actually uses let's say the MinGW compiler tool chains for doing stuff, for compiling stuff. But you can also link it to other compilers. But this is because we want to use Linux commands. This is much easier to do that. Then we have access to do the famous, or let's say familiar compiler tools that we already know about, like GCC and G++. And we will also take advantage of CMake. In this case, I want to install also a couple of, let's say, libraries that allow me to run GUI applications. So I want to configure CMake using the CMake GUI. This is the first time that I want to do that. So this can be also a nice introduction to CMake GUIs. After it finishes, then I need to update the database using this command, and then it says update the base packages with this one, with SU, and then I can install the GCC, for example, GCC base package with this one, with the toolchain and the base devel. I will install it, and then I will have access to all those tools. This is quite straightforward and easy. So this is installed. It says run it right now, and oops. So let's copy this. I hope that the font size is big enough for you to see. If not, I can increase it a bit. Let's say, where is it that I can increase the font size? This is here. Click OK and save. Yeah. So I paste the command here, I run it. And I wait, see what happens. So it tries to download a couple of stuff. Asks me then, where do you want to proceed? I say yes, of course, and then again, and now it opens it again. So after that, I need to run this command. So I need to start the, oops, it's not here. It's still run MSYS. It says MSYS2. Run this one. This is what is written here. That we should run it, and then again with this again this is the second set of commands. That is this time this is SU to update the base repositories. I confirm it, and you can see that now it is installing. It tries to install GCC stuff, but although this is just an update to the repository release, and later on we will install the base packages that we want. So yes, now it's time to install all those development things, and yeah. So this is, as you can see, this is basically different from WSL. This has its own subsystem, its own distribution. So it says default is all, yeah, everything. You can see that it contains lots of different tools that we need for development. So I installed them all, and then it says so what kind of MinGW, as I said, MinGW subsystem you want, MinGW collection for C++, for Fortran, for Windows trading, lots of stuff. And I say, yeah, install them all. And it says it takes quite some time to download everything, so we wait a bit, and then we continue. Okay, so it's done, and yeah, according to the documentation, we don't need to do anything more, and it says close this window, and then we will have another program installed on a start menu. So I open a start menu, and now it should be like this one. Yeah, MSYS2 MinGW, which is the terminal that we have access to all this GCC stuff, and and all the compilers. So you can see that the GCC is installed, and let's see which version it is. So it is version 11, a very recent version of GCC. So it's very interesting, and everything that we install here will be compiled to a Windows binary. Let's first show it on this test file that I had in the first video of WSL. Let's compile this one, and you will see that it generates a Windows binary out of it. That is very, very interesting. So where we are in home Tux Riders. In order to go to the Linux, to the Windows, to the Windows infrastructure, to Windows file system, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit different from WSL. In WSL, it was straightforward to go to Linux, to Windows file systems. As I demonstrated, it was only just right-clicking somewhere and then opening the shell there. But in this case, we need to start from the root and then C, and then probably, for example, if you want to go to the desktop, C users, and then we have Tux Riders here, Tux Riders, and then a desktop, and then test. So now we are inside the test directory, as you can see here. And then, so I don't need this browser window anymore. And then I can say G++ test.cpp. And then when I press enter, oh, this is very exciting. You can see that now we have an exe file, an executable file. We use the same techniques, the Linux, let's say Linux-based compilers like GCC, this is G++, GNU C++ compiler, to generate a Windows binary, a Windows executable file that I can run. You see that it starts to run. Oh, sorry, it says, it requires installing more executable files. But let me run it from here. And the error message here is because it doesn't access to this DLL, and it's easy to fix because we need to provide the user to fix. Similar to Linux, here in Windows we have also path environment variable, and you can fix it. We can adjust it and modify it in a way that points to where these standard ++ libraries are installed. Because actually we haven't installed any standard library yet on Windows, any, let's say, runtime environment. Because this is a fresh Windows version, fresh Windows installation. In order to fix it, I can quickly show you. I can search paths or environment variables. We can edit it for the whole system or for this current user account. So I open this. And then I go to the installation location of MSYS2, which is here, and then to the MinGW folder, and then bin, I think. Let's see if we have libstd C++ here. Yeah, this file. This is actually what it was trying to find. So I click here to be able to copy the path, and then a new, let's say, entry, and then I click OK. And then another time, okay, and then now I should be able to run it. Yeah, you see that it doesn't generate any error. And if I open a Windows terminal here, so press holding Shift key and open Windows PowerShell here, or I can access it from this file menu. So Windows PowerShell, now you see that I am able to run the executable file here. And it generates high, it prints high on the Windows terminal. So now I have a Windows binary actually here. And this is a real Windows binary that I can run it from Windows. And nothing appears here because it does nothing regarding the graphical user interface. It just opens a terminal and then writes hi and then immediately closes it. And then yeah, this is what we can do. This is very interesting. Let's go and do some more stuff, like more advanced use case for it to compile this, the hard program that we had. So I remove everything here, like except the CMake file, CMake list, and the CPP file. So invert selection, and also the libs, because I don't want to download them again. Please watch the previous video if you don't know what these things are all about. I have elaborated it there. So I remove all of them. We have the libs, the prerequisites, CGAL and boost. And here the CMake list file. I don't want to recreate it here. And then the hard.cpp. That's very nice. And then here, let's go to the directory of the files. Yes. We are there. But in order to follow the things, you know, these are the packages that, you know, out of experience that I know that we need to install on this MSYS 2. This is the first one that we installed, and then now we need to install also CMake. We need it. There is no CMake here. CMake command not found, so we need to install CMake. And after installing CMake, we also need to create, the MinGW version of CMake also. And then, because I told you, we want to configure the CMake files. This time we want to configure CMake with the GUI to show you how it works. And also you can use it for Windows also. If you want to use the native Windows version of CMake, you can also use that interface. And then we also need to install some runtime, the runtime files that we need for development. So let's wait a bit, and then we install this one. So the MinGW version of CMake. This is a sort of integration between these two. And then the Win extras, which is actually the Qt 5 Win extras, because the CMake GUI is developed using Qt, and with the Qt we need Qt be installed on a system. In this case, this is version 5 of Qt. So yeah, you can see everything that is related to MinGW core libraries requires some more checks and more time to finish. And yeah, after that, you can see that this is a list of libraries, this tools and libraries that are now installed on a system. And after that, I install this Qt 5 Win extras. This is also relatively huge, so we need to wait a bit. And yeah, we go for the last one, for the runtime development packages. This time is not big, should be installed quite fast. And now we are ready to go. So, you know, previous time we run the CMake command here, and we provided it with the path to the boost and the CGAL libraries. But this time I don't want to go for it. I don't want to run. I want to run the CMake GUI program to configure CMake using the graphical user interface. And you remember, for example, for the video from the Set Up Your System series on lamps, we use the tool CMake. And in that tool, this is very similar to that tool, allowing us to configure different parameters, different arguments of CMake build generation process, but this time it is with a graphical user interface, and I run it on the current directory because you know, the our file is actually there, and it says that the zlib cannot load the zlib1.dll. Okay, we may need to rerun these MSYS shell to be able to load this shared library. I'm not sure, so I copy this path to be able to come back to it later on. We open the MSYS MinGW 64-bit. And we go to the directory that we copied. And now here, let's see if we can run CMake GUI. No, again, it says it cannot find. No, this time it's another thing, because now it's complaining about the Qt 6 widget. So we may need to install the Qt 6 base because yeah, it's asking for Qt 6. I don't know why, but Yeah, let's see if installing Qt6 solves the problem. Probably because this is a very recent version of this GUI, and it's been developed using a newer version of Qt that is not version 5. Because the instruction that I had, I told you that I had from the experience. It comes with with my experience with Q5 and previous versions of this GUI. So I run the GUI again. Let's see, it runs. Yeah, apparently the problem was with the reloading the shell, and also installing Qt6 also. So after installing Qt6, now I am able to run this the GUI. But all the things that we did so far for running this GUI is not part of the the procedure you need to take to use MSYS to boot Windows binaries, Windows executables, because I showed you how to do that on this test case. In this case, I just want to show it as an additional steps, because this GUI is quite easy. It's quite easy to work with. So I run the GUI on the current directory. You see that it says that the source files are located here, and then the binaries should be placed also this one on this directory. So I press configure. It has 2 steps. One is configuring, and one is generating the build system. And when we want to generate this, we should select the generator. In this case, this is MSYS make files. In Linux, you don't usually notice that what is happening behind the scene, but CMake is actually generating the target of build system. Please refer to the CMake video if you don't know what I'm talking about. But in most of the Unix systems or Linux systems, it's usually the GNU make. In this case, we need to specify it, because you see that on Windows we have a wide range of different tools available. But now we are running MSYS too, so we need to select it, and then it starts to generate the build system. It should encounter a couple of problems. Yeah, the first problem is it needs to know the path to the CGAL directory. So I select the mesh, lib, and then the CGAL. I select the folder, and then I click configure again. And now this time it complains about the boot directory. So I should provide the boot directory path also to it, and then I click configure again. And this is exactly the command that we provide the program with when we want to run it on Linux. In this case, we don't need to specify that on a command line, because we are using this graphical user interface, and step by step it generates errors, and we can see what we need to fix. But as you know, these are the 2 things that we fix already. Let me show you what I'm talking about to be sure that we are on it if you haven't watched the previous videos. So here on environment setup, for the procedure we need to follow to compile the CGAL programs, you see that when we want to build it with the CMake command, we need to provide it with its directory of the CGAL and the directory of boost. And these are the 2 things that this CMake GUI complained about. And we can also change the CMake build type to release. That's also nice to do. We don't want to have all those debug stuff, so this is CMake build type. We say that it is release. And then we configure it, and that's all we need to do. And then when I click generate, we can see that all these CMake files and stuff are here already. This is quite nice. This is very, very nice that all these things are here. And now we can have, if it was Visual Studio, you could have clicked this open file, open project, but here we don't need it. So we come back here, and now you know what to do. You type make, and GNU make will use GCC to compile it. So let's see. And this time we are compiling a Windows binary. version of it. So a native Windows version. This is very, very exciting. So after it's done, we can see that we will have heart.exe here. We need to wait a bit. And yeah, now this is finished. And this is very, very exciting that you see that we have a heart.exe here, a Windows binary. So we are on Windows, I double click this and you see that it runs and it generates the heart.mesh for us. Let's open the heart.mesh with Gmesh and yeah, we were here and the heart.mesh generated with this native Windows binary. So in this case, you see that we have actually the first class citizen of Windows, which is this executable file, and we used it to generate this mesh file that we have generated a couple of times previously in previous videos, this time natively on Windows. This is an exciting technique, a very nice one. You know, I faced a couple of problems during this video. You saw, and we tried to solve them together by installing a couple of more dependencies. But in the end, I wanted to show you how you can use the CMake GUI as well as a bonus to all the techniques that I want to discuss. That's a very powerful UI you can use, but you can also use it in Linux. That's not for Windows only. But apart from that, you could have also run this command directly in this MSYS shell, and it could have ended to the same results. But generally, yeah, this is the technique. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the technique when the first time that I saw it, that we were able to generate native Windows binaries out of any code that we have initially developed for Linux. I hope you enjoyed it and you hope you find it useful for your use cases. And yeah, stay tuned and see you in next videos. Bye.